So we're now in chapter 802, and because we have done so much work up front and we've prepared our model really well, the rest of this is really quite easy. The hardest decisions we have are how to lay out the sheet. So the first thing we need to do is bring in our content. Now, if you have access to the files, then File and Insert, and in chapter 802, then we have the house and the location plan. So I'll load up the location plan first and click on Open. So this is our location plan. Now, I said when we created the location plan that we didn't need to create a scene for it because we're just looking top down on this and we just need to set the scale. So it's not like we have any fancy section cutting to do. It's just the site that we're looking directly onto. All we're going to do is highlight the boundary of the site, and we're going to do that in layout anyway. So by selecting the link and we go to our SketchUp model, on the View tab, we have got the Ortho is ticked, so that light blue color means that it's selected, which means that we're looking in a 2D orthographic view. The current scale is 1:830. Now I want to set that to 1:1250. If you want to set it to a imperial equivalent, then choose the correct scale and it's going to give you the appropriate size. Now, because I've set this to a scale, this tick box automatically ticks. And this means that preserve scale on resize, when I'm resizing the window, this scale isn't changing. If this was unticked and I was to drag this in, then this would get smaller or larger depending on the size of the viewport. So I'm just going to drag these in so it squares off. Let's drag this up. So all I want to see is the site. Then I can click and position this somewhere in this corner. Now all I need to do now is add some text to this and a north point. North is vertically up in this instance. And then I can go File and Insert, and then we'll choose the house this time. This is the larger file, so it's going to take slightly larger to load. Now these are referenced in the document setup as we looked at previously. And for this one, under the scenes, it gives me the last saved SketchUp view. So I need to click on that. We'll go to our site plan. And the site plan is going to be displayed slightly bigger. The location plan kind of locates it on a map. So you'd have road names, etc. Grid references possibly. And this site plan is just going to give us some information on the boundary of the site. We'll be adding some trees and other content later on. So again, I want to change the scale of this to 1:200. And then make sure that preserve scale on resize is ticked. And then I can drag in these windows. They don't have to drag in the windows, but it makes selecting objects much, much easier. I'll position this over here somewhere. Now I can adjust the window on this if I want to, and I can select this one, or I can nudge this into position. If I press the Shift and nudge, then it jumps a bit further. You can't set the size of the increments, but the Shift key does make it nudge slightly further. So all I need now is to add my north point, and north point is saying this one is pointing up. Because this has been rotated, then the north point is going to be slightly in this direction. So there's our two plans positioned. We can fine-tune this later. In the next video, we'll be looking at adding some content from the very impressive scrapbook.